Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday Night Overwatch. I'm Corbec, joined in the lovely CGL studios by Bill Skunk, Billy, and Skate Action, with the ever wonderful Sultan producing. Do apologize for the slightly late start tonight, but we had a couple of technical difficulties that hopefully we have worked out now. We've got an exciting docket of T3 NA Xbox matches coming up for you tonight, actually. Our first match is going to be The Hunt versus Reborn, and let's get an idea of where we think these two teams are sort of at. Billy, what do you know about them? You might be muted.
Yep.
NA production here, ladies and gentlemen. No, I know more about the Hunt than I do about Reborn. I know we actually covered them in week 3 here of the MTT, and they were beaten by Dane DeFito Tier 3 3-1 in a pretty one-sided contest. They ended up winning on Rialto. They've got a really sick Ana player in THX, so we want to be looking at the anti-nades coming from their healer core there, and their tank line was a little bit stagnant when they went up against Dane DeFito, and that's normally a normal thing when you go up against Dane DeFito. Generally they bring out the big guns on the tank line. So maybe it was the fact that they were going up against Dane DeFito's tank line, but I mean, they just seemed to be very stagnated. They weren't very aggressive. The pushes were kind of wonky too, and then it all came together on Rialto, and so that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking forward to seeing them kind of bounce back from that. I mean, they are sitting at 5-2 on the season though, so either they've done some fundamental changes, or maybe it was the hero bans. I don't know, but I'm hoping to look for a better experience from them tonight.
Well, Bullskunk, what do you take of that analysis? What can you tell us maybe a little bit more about Reborn?
Well, I mean, coming in 7-0.
Nice shirt, by the way.
Rep the merch. There we go. Well done, boys.
We're repping a little merch.
Everybody's got merch but me. Oh Lord. I really messed up.
Wow, you're a company man there, Corbec.
Oh God. Not like this. It's just like my nightmares. Anyway, but yeah, Bullskunk, what can you tell us about Reborn?
Coming in 7-0, they've only dropped 2 maps for the entire tournament. They are 26-2 in map score, and have already clinched their berth into the playoffs. So they've clinched their postseason spot. And I mean, they're just looking to fight for that first place, looking to fight for that bye week right now. But I mean, they just look super strong. They look absolutely unstoppable so far this season. I don't have a whole lot of footage on them, so I don't have a whole lot of details into what kind of comps they like to run, but super strong team so far.
So, Skate, looking at Team 7-0, already clinched a playoff berth. Do you think they kind of take their foot off the gas here, or do you think they're going to go all in?
I think they go all in here, given that the playoffs now, indicate that there is that bye week for that number 1 overall seed from your division. It's definitely worth playing for. You got to try for it. As long as you're 7-0 and undefeated, there are 2 7-0 undefeated teams in that division, so they are still fighting for it. It is up for grabs, and they're going to have to play everything out all the way if they want that bye. I mean, you get a free pass. You get a whole week off that you get to just kind of relax and get your team together and get in a better spot. You got to want the bye.
Indeed you do. I mean, it's an exciting matchup here. There's some playoff implications on the line. The Hunt struggling kind of to stay in the, quote, hunt there. Reborn, obviously, with the 7-0, right, it is the hard favorite going into this one. And it's hard to see, perhaps, I guess the Hunt kind of has a bit of a mountain to climb, as it were. But, when you secure the playoff berth, at least in my experience, as limited as it is in regards to playoff berths, but you do have the tendency to kind of want to slow down just a little bit, maybe put in some of your subs who have been kind of riding the bench a lot of the season, to want a little bit of playtime in the actual CGL season. But of course, I mean, that competition for the bye week, like you said, Skate, still very strong and still very fierce, and a good motivating factor, as it were. Let's do a quick rundown here of score predictions then, looking at our teams, most of them filling into lobbies, so we're nearly ready to go. Bullskunk, why do you start us off?
I'm actually apparently the lone person choosing the hunt here, and I think it's on pure drive. They have something to play for. They've got that carrot just dangling right in front of them, just out of reach of playoffs, currently sitting in the 8th seed. I think they're going to edge this one out in the 3-2 just based on the fact that they have something to truly play for, you know, and Reborn, they're already locked in.
They are indeed. What about you, Billy? What's your prediction?
Well, I think it's going to go Reborn 3-2. However, the one thing that I forgot to mention before is that the Hunt are on a 4-game winning streak. After the week 3, getting that loss to Danny DeVito, that was their last loss. So they've gone 4-0 since that time. So I think they're on a bit of a roll here. I think that they're going to make this very entertaining tonight.
Always cool to see a team coming in with lots of momentum, and certainly hoping it'll be an entertaining game. At least for my score prediction, I have my cards again. They were right last week. It was actually right. So I shuffled them up. I'm gonna draw. Here we go. Okay, it's Judgment. As you can see, there are some people climbing out of some tombs and somebody blowing a horn and some other stuff. So I'm actually going to use that as the perfect byline to say that Reborn going to come out of this one on top. And I'm going to say 3-1. That's my prediction. Tarot cards don't fail me now. They didn't last week, just saying. If it works once, why fix it? Anyway,
What
what
more
about you?
accurate than the analytics last week. So.
They were actually more accurate than the entire analytics, which just goes to show you why Miss Cleo was so successful in her short-lived Overwatch analyst career. Skate, what do you got over there?
Well, I got a lobby I'm trying to figure out at the same time, but I am actually going to be the bold one here. I'm going to call a 2-1-1 win for Reborn. I'm calling the draw. I am calling the draw. I'm not going to pick the map because I think that would be, a little
Too much,
overblown there. I don't want to call the fact that they're going to draw on the 2CP, but I think Reborn just has all the momentum right now. The Hunt is a great squad, and I think they unfortunately just had a bit of a tough schedule. The teams that they lost to are playoff teams, so it's not that they're a bad squad. They ran into some tough action.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The score predictions coming in. Definitely seems like Reborn is the favorite, but maybe Bullskunk here, the modern-day Nostradamus, going to call us up a win for the Hunt, bring them in on that 3-2. Will we finally see a 5-0 game, or a 5-map game, I should say? Or, will we see the dreaded draw that we've kind of been missing out on? Will this be dreaded? Dreaded? I'd say dreaded. Skates, blessed, lucky, I don't know what we want to say. Moment here coming in. Perfectly balanced as all things should be. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Really quick, let me just tell you about some stuff that we have coming up here on the CGL in the future, and then we'll kick it over to a brief intermission. We'll be right back with first action in the night. But first, we have our Injustice 2 tournament coming up tomorrow, Saturday, May 16th, starting at 6 p.m. EST. $500 prize pool on the line there. Getting a lot of hype out there in the FGC to watch that one go off. And then next week on May 23rd, we are having a trios tournament in Call of Duty Warzone. Signups are available for that on our website at Console Gaming League/COD. $150 prize pool on the line. Lots of great action based on our last Warzone tournament. And finally, that weekend, we might also be having an Apex Legends Duos kill race with $1,000 prize pool being donated from a mysterious outsider yet, but we haven't yet announced that one, so I don't want to give too much away, but keep your eyes peeled to our Twitter for that. It should be exciting. Anyway, you're watching Friday Night Overwatch here on the Console Gaming League, and we'll be right back with the first match of the night, T3 Reborn versus T3 The Hunt. here on the Console Gaming League. I'm Corbec, joined in the lovely CGL studios by my co-caster, Skate Action. How are you feeling tonight, Skate?
Oh man, I'm feeling great. I'm ready to get this game rolling. I mean, this has got playoff feel to it tonight. Both of these
sure does.
are in the playoff hunt. I mean, they're right there in the no pun intended by that there either. But we've got 2 games tonight. The doubleheader both, have playoff implications. This is great. I'm ready to roll into Nepal here and get this thing rolling.
Yeah, so am I here as well. The Reborn versus the Hunt here, ladies and gentlemen. A solid T3 matchup. Reborn coming in solid 7-0, have not dropped more than 2 maps the entire CGL season. The Hunt can't really say the same for them. 5-2 coming in, a tight matchup for them and a must-win if they want to keep competitive really in this kind of playoff race. Don't freak out there, ladies and gentlemen. Just a bit of a test pause here as we get started on Nepal. Looks like we will be coming into Sanctum first. Favorite fact about Nepal, Skate, you can see all 3 stages from the bottom. Do you know that?
Wow. I swear, every time we cast Corbec, you have some fun fact.
I love that. I love it. If you look at it, if you look up on the village, you'll see the whole thing all the way up to the Sanctum. That's on top, and then I think Shrine is the one just below it. So there you go. That's fascinating, actually. Our producer is saying every control map exists in the same plane, which is true. Now that I think about it, because I know that Ilios is all different sides of one island. Anyway, taking a look at our teams here, Ryan Zarya composition on one side, Arista Sigma on the other, coming out early on here. What do you make of the setup here, Skate?
Well, it looks like one team is going with the Ryan Zarya versus the double shield, so we have a little difference of philosophies here. The Hunt is going to come out with the Sigma, Orisa, and the Torb. I kind of like what the Hunt's coming out here with to start.
Yeah, the Hunt trying to hold this corner here, really let their range damage show. Meanwhile, on the other side, Reborn happy to play around the corner, doing this right here. You see Real Lost King trying to push forward, gets caught with a flashbang, burned down. Young Feeder dies, though, in those early stages, just a little too far forward. The rotation has started here for the Hunt. Orisa will get on, but you feel maybe Lil Lysol might have gone just a bit ahead of the team. That being said, the Hunt more than happy to back up and let him have this one. Regroup, get their Reinhardt back, and then push back in.
Yeah, I like the support lineup that we see out of the Hunt. You don't see a lot of BAP with the Zenyatta going, but I know that Saturn there, she really likes to play that BAP-T. She was talking about it a little bit in some of the stream production earlier today, so I'm glad to see her playing something a little off-meta, as it were.
Oh, Lessons coming out early, but Young Feeder already contributed 2 kills here, essentially pinning them in this side room. Not a lot they can do about it as Eternal Wick goes down to Branch. Really little Lysol here, increasing that trap, feeling as Skipper takes a dive into Bronze there off the edge. Chief and Editor taken down as well, and there goes Dragonite. That'll clear now. Little Lysol doing a great job there, Skate, of closing down those rooms with help from the team.
My word, the Hunt coming out with guns a-blazing here, getting early picks, and look at the ult economy here as we see we're going to have 4 ults online for this team fight for the Hunt, so hopefully they can stagger these ults correctly and just take advantage of what they've set up already early on Reborn. Reborn, nothing changing yet, though, so they're going to stick with this lineup.
There's the Torbjorn ultimate coming out early on. Real Lost King already pushed past it. Most of the team here. You see the Echo Pulse coming in, cloning the Orisa. It's a good use of the Gravitic Flux there, trying to take out at least one of them. Real Lost King will go down, but the fight definitely building towards Reborn at this stage. As I say that, though, Chief and Editor taken down. That's a big source of healing still. Reborn with finally point control. 80% on the clock, though, from the Hunt. A good showing indeed.
Yeah, I think the Hunts maybe have to make some swaps here, though, to recontest this point. It was advantageous on those first couple pushes because they had the range. I don't think the range is actually going to play into attacking this point, as they have to get on there and actually physically contest the point. We saw Reborn actually flip that before all of the Hunt was cleared off the point.
Little Lysol getting burned down early, and they're going to push out on him here. Reborn getting very aggressive.
Oh my,
have that grab in the pocket, but they're taking a significant amount of damage. Real Lost King backpedals there, gets back into cover, and they're happy to hold these doors for a little while longer, Skate.
Yeah, this is an interesting setup, but I mean, they're creating a lot of space on Reborn, and giving a lot of time to shatter them on the line in.
There's the follow-up up. Team not wasting any time. A Turtle Wick coming in with 2, and then Real Lost King following up on his own Shatter to get 2 more. And you feel a little bit for the Hunt here, pinned back on their own spawn doors. His Rampart is burned down and caught out.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, that little fight they took outside, they gained 30%. That started at 30% on the counter. We're over 60. They only invested a Shatter into that. 4 ults coming into it. Both support ults online for Reborn. I really like the way they're setting up to finish this map off.
High Noon comes out early. The Dragons are thrown back. Almost as an immediate counter. The High Noon gets absolutely nothing, but neither do the Dragons. Well-timed immortality field there, keeping the team alive. The window is out, but there's the grab. No Dragons to follow it up, but they don't need the Dragons. That's both tanks taken out almost immediately. The Coalescence, more of an afterthought than anything else, just helping them burn down what was left of the team at that stage. And now 90% on the clock, and the Hunt completely back-footed here despite such a strong start.
Yeah, Ender's going to try and touch here, but I don't think we're going to be able to make it. Run, Torb, run! Come on!
This little tail is all this time.
It's a problem.
Dwarves are built for sprinting, not distance. Everybody knows that.
Oh, that's unfortunate. But it seemed that Reborn was in more of a brawl mode, and the way the Hunt set up there on that high ground, it was just advantageous for them. And like I said, they weren't able to get back on there and contest. So we'll have to see some swaps, which we are already seeing here as we see the tank line switching to a Diva Rhine to try and counter this. So we got a little bit more of a brawl, bringing in the Doomfist too by Ender.
Yeah, you also saw, I think, just great usage of ultimates there, really kind of making things count in those difficult situations. Kind of showing why they've earned their place, all things considered. You see Real Lost King trying to get in the fight early here. Little Lysol on the Rhine. Branch on the Sigma, so a bit of an interesting tank combo to be sure, but they're already brawling in. Frozen out is Lysol. There's nothing the rest of the team can do for him. Great Maywall, but they traded Rhine. Real Lost King gets taken out almost immediately thereafter. Now Branch in trouble on the front line, gets frozen by Eternal Wick, but they can't confirm it. Great Maywall actually to finish off Branch. And that should signal the end and a quick point cap here for the folks from Reborn. A little bit of a last-ditch effort by Rampart there to stall it out. Unfortunately, staggers himself a little bit there, too.
Yeah, I mean, if you're there, you know, the rule always is to die on point as long as it's being contested there. But maybe an ill-advised chance there to just kind of fall back and get a quicker regroup here, as it's going to cost you a few percentage points before the Hunt will get a chance to recontest as they move through the cover here.
Yeah, coming up on the low ground approach. They throw out the Fire Strike early on. Not a lot of value out of it. Good Maywall there, splitting him up again. Little Lysol in a lot of danger. He's on Branch on the side pocket, but there's nothing Branch can do. Oh, there's the Shatter to follow up as well. And Branch, the last survivor, getting burned down. Rampart still in the room. There's nothing he can do about it either, and it's all over. And there's the team kill gone on top of it all.
Real Lost King is having himself a game right now, just flexing on this tank line, getting the better of Lil Lysol right now, as we do see Ender swap over to the Junkrat. I like this. A little bit of backup for that tank. If he can just kind of stick with him, it'll punish the Rhine when he comes in deep like that.
Branch still on that Sigma. The ultimate economy not great here. They're going to come from the high ground this time. Try a little bit of a different angle. Maybe give their ranged characters a bit of room to play with. The shots coming in early on. There's the Coalescence coming out Saturn, allowing them to push forward just a little bit. Little Lysol trying to get up in their face. Good rabbinic disc coming out from Branch. Great sound barrier response, though. Not a lot of damage out of that. Here's the grab and the Blizzard to follow it up the high noon on the backside. Not enough to salvage the situation, as Predator Z 2002 just goes straight through, and then the server closes due to an unexpected error.
Oh, wow. I don't know what to do in that situation. That's a first for me.
Yeah.
I mean,
that awkward silence you hear, ladies and gentlemen, is not us trying to find inner contemplation or peace here at the Sanctum, but rather trying to figure out what's going on. Might have to take a quick pause here while we address our rule book. I know it is written. I think it is written in there. We're going to a quick intermission and figure this out with these two teams, because that is an unfortunate circumstance, to say the least.
gentlemen, welcome back to Console Gaming League's Friday Night Overwatch, where we just had a server crash derail some things here for all of you Overwatch fans. We've spoken to both teams, and as per their agreement, we're going to let Reborn capture the first point here. We'll move on to the second map, and with Reborn's consensus, we'll just replay the entire map and carry on as if that horrible tragedy had never happened, as if it wasn't a clear sign that the Overwatch gods have deserted console once and for all. Anyway, what have we done to anger them? I don't know.
I'm sure we've done lots.
Well, I knew we should have sacrificed somebody. We shouldn't have passed off that Grandmaster sacrifice. That gold is a Grandmaster sacrifice. That was where we messed up.
Yeah, that's
Kano always knows. Anyway. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. We do apologize for this delay. As you can see there, or as you can't see, the two teams are playing it out, but the Torbjorns are fighting each other in a hammer duel. I don't know if we can see that on stream, but it's not as exciting as it sounds.
Ender takes round one.
Yeah, you're really not missing out. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an interesting match here, Skate. So far, a little bit one-sided in favor of Reborn, which is perhaps not entirely surprising. For me, I think one of the most stark things that stands out here in these initial bits are the use of ults, right? We see really solid ult economy coming out of the side of Reborn, really demonstrating why they're a 7-0 team. The Earthshatter, for example, we saw on Sanctum, where they basically didn't even have to follow it up with any ults at all. They just came in and closed down. They started the next fight with 4, and it was a decisive win.
Yeah.
These are the kind of things that are making all the difference in these matchups. I don't know. What do you think the Hunt can do to recover?
I think it is partially on their team compositions. They started to make some adjustments, and I was curious to see how it was going to go on the second map that unfortunately closed, and we're going to replay. There was a nice grab dragon that kind of countered anything, but I would like to see them go just head on into this brawl composition and just see what they can get out of it, because they were trying to play at range most of the time, and I don't know if that's a credit to how their DPS players play. Maybe they want to play at range. Maybe the DPS aren't as comfortable with like a Reaper and a May kind of brawl comp, but it's the change I would like to see them make to kind of counteract that aggressive Rhine play that we saw out of Real Lost King.
Yeah, and I mean, it did initially go out quite well, I would say, in the sense that their range-based composition on Sanctum, when they set up in the corner and kind of just laid down fire, actually did quite well. But you're right, ultimately when push came to shove, when the brawl came in, they couldn't really hold up. We're now going to start back on Shrine, where both the teams have just agreed to play this one out again, despite the fact that the Hun did have a significant lead when we started here initially. Oh, sorry, Reborn, my apologies. Yes. Had a significant lead when the server crashed, and hopefully that doesn't happen again. I'm not really sure. Obviously, I think some swaps coming in here. A little bit of changes, actually. Ender coming out on the Pharah, which is a bit different from what we saw last time. Not as many changes on the side of Reborn, though, sticking with kind of the tried and true composition as they move towards the center here.
Yeah, I don't hate this move by Ender. Just go with some range here on the Pharah and just force the Hanzo to hit you. We'll have to see how it works out as Rampart moves over that Mercy to kind of help support that Pharah.
Real Lost King there trying to pressure on the front line, but it's Skipper who goes down early. That Pharah is telling kills, trading back and forth, but neither side really retaining a significant advantage. Good wall there. It's got Lysol trapped, but Lysol has backup this time. Is it enough? Unfortunately, no. Lysol goes down, and now Branch is sectioned off, and despite Saturn getting a cheeky kill there to avenge the Zarya, not enough really for them to take the point.
No, it wasn't enough, as we see both Moiras obviously having the ult going into this fight, but I want to note Dragonite over there on that Zarya already at 91%, now 92% to grab after one fight.
Huge. Already up on the grab indeed. You see the push coming in from the high ground on the right-hand side. Now they're dropping down and coming in. Coalescence unleashed early, actually very similar to what we saw last time. Great grab there, though. The Coalescence coming in on the focus on that. Saturn and Lysol can't do anything but die in the midst of that. as the rest of the team pushes forward, and for minimal casualties, Skate. Oh, no, Barrage on the backside. Gets real low. King, the hero, Rhino blocking almost all that damage with his shield. Very well played. A bit of an unfortunate position there from Enderskate to release the barrage where they did.
Yeah, and it looks like Ender's going to go ahead and swap, so that's probably why we saw the barrage come out. They had probably communicated that already, that they're going to make the swap, and we see Predator actually swap over to the McCree, I think, to deal with the Pharah, as we see almost identical comps from the two teams. The only difference is Saturn on that Ana and Chief and Editor on the Moira for the main support role.
Well, Hunt drops down now, pushing forward here in the mid-ground. Wall comes up, but it's way behind. They're not going to get any value out of that. Predator's 8 out early. Shatter comes in, counter Shatter comes out. There's the grab as well. No one in that grab, really. But the cleanup is happening here from the Hunt as they push across. Eternal Wick, the last survivor, is burned down. And they will finally flip this point at 89%, Skate. So it took them a while.
Yeah, but, you know, hats off to the supports there of the Hunt, able to keep little Lysol up and just swing that hammer, getting 3 kills in that push and flipping that point over. We'll have to see how Reborn kind of counters here. They haven't had to really recapture this point yet in the 2 rounds we've played on Shrine.
Oh, Lessons coming out early here. Chief and Editor trying to get him a little bit of breathing room. Great Maze Blizzard in there. There's nothing they can do for Lysol. Branch is burned down as well. Oh, no. It happened again!
Initiating
what?
Match.
Oh. Oh boy. That's a big thinker there. We might, yes, have to go back and restart a new server. So we're just gonna all I see is Billy holding his head in his hands. I don't know if he's disappointed in us or Blizzard or both.
He's not mad. He's just disappointed.
He's not mad. He's just disappointed. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to cut to a quick intermission. We're going to get this resolved, and we're going to bring back with Friday Night Overwatch here on the Console Gaming League, presuming Blizzard lets us.
5, 4, 3, 2.
ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Friday Night Overwatch here on the Console Gaming League. I'm Corbec, joined by Skate Action, broadcasting live to you from the lovely CGL studios with Sultan in the production booth. Unfortunately, as you could see if you have been watching for a bit, we've had some minor technical problems regarding Nepal. Those damn Yetis at it yet. But fortunately, our teams have agreed to just let that one slide. It will go 2-0 to Reborn. The situation was, of course, heavily in favor of Reborn there at the end, Skate. And we're getting ready to queue into our second map on an entirely new lobby, and that will be Hollywood. What are we absolutely forward to here, Skate?
Hopefully not a server crash. That's what all I'm looking forward to, is the servers just holding up and us getting through a map. So I'm just waiting on the ready up from the hunt, and then it looks like we'll be ready to go as I stumble all over my words here, trying to just spit it out. It's been a night, man. I mean, we're almost an hour into this thing. We've seen it all, I think, at this point.
Yeah, we've got one sort of 1.5 maps in, or no, I should say half a map, 75% of a map. Getting pretty close to the end there. We'll
like
say though, 83% of a map. The second time. It was pretty heavily in Reborn's favor. I don't think a lot of things really changed on that second playthrough of Shrine Skate. Really, the alt economy favoring heavily Reborn, their ability to use it really effectively kind of showing through. We did see at the end there kind of a bit of a flash from the hunt where they were able to retake it. But one of the critical problems I think we've been noticing is kind of the solid application of Eternal Wix May walls to really section off Branch and Little Lysol. Struggling a bit, I think, to return the favor are the hunt. Though that being said, they do sometimes manage to catch Real Lost King out with the main walls, but the focus has not been as strong to bring them down.
Yeah, and it seems like the tank line has been the real difference here. Real Lost King is just having a heck of a game, and then we saw Dragonite getting a very fast Graviton Surge too. That's a big ultimate that just kind of zones the entire team out and locks them in. So I'll be curious to see what the hunt can do moving forward here, as Hollywood will play a little bit differently. And honestly, as far as defense goes, the hunt will be on attack first, but I think when it comes to defense, this may play into what they were trying to do on Nepal the first round, where they were playing with a little bit of range and maybe that double shield. So we'll have to see what they can do. Obviously, like I said, Reborn will be defending first, so we'll have to see what kind of defense they can put up, see if they run a little bit more of that Rein Zarya that seems to be their bread and butter at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I think Reborn being the stronger team, getting the opportunity to defend first does favor them pretty heavily in this situation, if only because it means that they could have less workload on the backside when they actually have to go on the attack. Again, kind of hard to predict what we will see. They did seem to favor that Hanzo May on the last map. Koth, obviously, there on Nepal, but I do think it's a composition that would work here.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they decide to come out and run with here. See if maybe they had a chance to talk it over during this this little impromptu intermission, shades of the Super Bowl when the power went out. So we weren't ready for it, but it happened.
That happened. Just saying, just saying that happened.
Ready for battle.
Yeah, we'll have to see if, maybe this will play into the Hunt's favor. Maybe it swung the momentum back in their way, the way it did for the Baltimore Ravens that year.
You never know. Yeah, delays. I was just going to say, actually, Skate, it is interesting to see how kind of a delay or change in the speed of the game can actually have a bit of an impact on the way teams play. It's not, I would say, as huge of a momentum changing thing as kind of just getting completely steamrolled or struggling to, put in a good performance or what have you. But I definitely think it contributes to an overall sort of sense of tilt that you do have to take into account.
Yeah, you just kind of have to be ready and take it in stride. It's one of those things that's out of your control, so you can't let yourself get too upset about it. It just happens. So you just got to move on with it and just worry about the map that you're playing at the current time.
And they are running that May Hanzo defense here. Reborn feeling very comfortable with this composition. Predator on the Hanzo shooting down shots in the mid, just trying to gain all charge. Real Lost King already at 30% here. Saturn, though, ticking up towards that Nano pretty quickly as well. Trying to rotate around the backside, can't quite get in there. Little Lysol kind of stuck there on the planter. Doesn't want to move too much up into the fire here. Now there comes the Doomfist over the top. Ender getting in on the back line right away. But Ram
Rampart is burned down. Dragonite getting in on the action as well, and though Ender does finally get a kill, it's not really enough. Young Feeder the only one left alive with Little Lysol deep in the back line there, and they will back out and reset.
Yeah, I feel like I've been gushing about this tank line, but what Reborn is doing on that tank line is very impressive right now. I'm curious to see if Young Feeder didn't really get a good angle there on the attack for the hunt, but I like the Tracer here to try to maybe put some pressure on that back line of Flashy, since they are running the Ana. This is the first we've seen of the Ana on Reborn. They've run a lot of Moira so far in that first map.
So 2 ultimates here online, ticking up towards a nano boost as well here. Shatter just coming online for Lysol. The 2 Ryans playing that little bit of a mind game there on the front side. There's the Shatter. It's good. He's got at least 2, but the nano boost going to come in almost immediately. Little Lysol got burned down right away. They're going to hold on to the nano on the other side. I think they're going to almost give this one up. It's really good anti-nade there over the top. It will cost Real Lost King. So some ultimates have been invested. They're nanoing the Tracer here as they push forward. Good grab in, counter grab out almost immediately, but only one side has the dragons. And once more we see Predator Z clean the deck with the 2 Danger Noodles of Doom.
Yeah, we'll have to see if there's any swaps here on the side of the hunt. That just smelled of swaps, full scale from top to bottom, as we see Young Feeder go over to that McCree. Ender still actually just now going to swap to that May, but we see Ring going to go ahead and stick on that Ana. So interesting little changes here. I do like the Brig here if they can get some value out of it. I think they need to play a little bit of tighter and push as a whole group.
Little Lysol pushing up now. Good Maywall into follows it up. There's literally nothing Lysol can do. The rest of the team burn down as soon as their main tank exit the building, and they're going right back to the cinema there, ladies and gentlemen, and waiting for the next screening.
Yeah, I am out of answers right now. It's come down to just, Lost King just having a feel for Lysol, and maybe this is a team that they scrimmed a lot and, have a feel for. That kind of happens where you just feel like you have the other Reinhardt's, abilities kind of down to a T, and you can almost predict exactly what he's going to do. And that seems to be the case so far with Real Lost King and Little Lysol.
60 seconds building. Eternal Wick on the top side does have that Blizzard, looking to use it. Young Feeder the first casualty here as the rest of the hunt tries to rotate around the backside. Little Lysol wanting the team to group up with him here. They're trying to decide which direction they want to go. Saturn does have the nano there if they choose to use it. Lysol throws out the Fire Strike, doesn't get a lot of traction off it, starts to come forward, and unfortunately we've had a disconnect because this game is cursed. We will have to follow out the rest of this combat here as the 2 grabs are thrown in. There comes the dragons across. Predator Z getting big again. His dragon combos have been huge tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely cleaning up. The sound barrier is invested. Young Feeder will go down. It's just Rin, Zarya, Lucio here holding out, trying to make something happen. Rin under tons of pressure gets burned down on the backside. And now they're just hunting down Rampart. The last person left alive. No, even as I say it, Ender coming back in. Little Lysol here as well. So the ball will try and hold on. Real Lost King finally reconnecting to the game, but they don't even need him. They will hold on. Reborn doesn't give up a single tick on their defense. Taking it all in stride here tonight. Skate action are the folks from Reborn.
Yeah, and that's just unfortunate. It was right as that last fight started that engage happened.
Always the longest, too.
Yeah. Oh my, that's unfortunate. But Real Lost King did reconnect, and it didn't really cost Reborn anything, as they were still able to full hold with that group of 5. So, the DPS stepping it up there in absence of their Reinhardt. Good on Reborn to able to still hold that. So now they only need that first tick. We'll have to see what the hunt can do. This could be that elusive draw we talked about.
This is exactly what I was talking about, though, at the start of this mapscape, in terms of that defense coming in big here. The workload significantly reduced in the sense that they most likely will not have to play through this entire map. Not only is that obviously a bit of a confidence booster here on the side of the attackers, it's also just less stress, less work on their side as well. And those kind of things do factor in these situations. I mean, especially when we consider that we've kind of been in and out in these lobbies for the
last sort of 45 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Fatigue, totally a thing.
It absolutely is. And then you do have the flip side of it. If the Hunt can rally here and actually force the draw, that's as good as a win when you're in the Hunt's shoes right there. That feels like a win, and you have the momentum on your side if you can force the draw.
You sure do. Well, you can see those Junkrat mines coming out from Ender already, doing a good job of just causing a ton of havoc there. The trap out as well, but they'll spot it and destroy it right away. Wasting no time. Lost King and Dragonite coming straight up the choke here. Really a lot of space being given to them. They're holding this corner tight, but Rampart, the early victim. Zenyatta's hitbox just too big to survive against Predator, and they'll lose the immortality field as well as Saturn gets brought down, and that's both supports taken out of action. There goes little Lysol, young feeder. The kill feed lights up blue, and it's an easy secure here for the folks from Reborn. That desperate attempt by the Junkrat to touch, just not enough. And Reborn takes the lead 2-0 in the series here.
Yeah, not a lot to talk about there. It was just well executed by Reborn. They had a plan going in on that attack and executed to perfection to make quick work of the defense of the Hunt as we move into our third map. So far, you know, it's been a little one-sided, but you do have this break. We'll see if the maps here that we get ready to go into of what are we going into? Volskaya is the next match. We'll see if that plays into the Hunt's favor here and they can get back in this thing.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be taking a quick intermission here. We'll be right back with the rest of Friday Night Overwatch after this break. Welcome back to Friday Night Overwatch. I'm Corbec, joined here by Skate Action with Sultan in the production booth, and we are kindly asking whoever stole that cursed Tiki idol, can you please return it to its rightful spot so that we can continue with our games uninterrupted? Because we've been having some weird stuff going on here tonight, Skate. We did briefly lose a player there in that last match. It did not affect Reborn over much, but obviously on the back of those two server disconnects as well, kind of a bit of unfortunate nature here. And it looks like Real Lost King still kind of experiencing some difficulties sticking around in the lobby. So hopefully we can get them back in here and get moving. But other than that, the only team I guess that's kind of been having the rough of it tonight has been the Hunt. Really got backfooted there on Hollywood. A solid, just kind of full first point hold coming out from Reborn, and then really just steamrolling right over them to take that point when they got on the attack.
And you know, it's unfortunate. It's almost like it's a Friday Night Overwatch curse where one team gets rolling and there's just no stopping them. We had those the first week, I think, where both games were really tightly contested, but it seems like it's been a lot of sweeps, strangely enough. So I don't know what is happening in this wacky world of Friday Night Overwatch, but I did just double check the calendar. It is the 15th, not the 13th. So we do have that going in our favor right now.
Well, that's good to know. We're lining up all the ducks we can over here in CGL Studios, switching over to the gerbil-based model of internet provider as opposed to the hamster-based model. Really seeing what we can do to keep things going. But moving to Volskaya Industries here, Skate, the dreaded 2CP assault, whatever you'd like to call it. Really one of the harder, I would say, maps in the pool. Volskaya presents a lot of challenges, both for attackers and defenders, though ultimately I feel that it gives defenders a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, it does seem to play into the defenders really, really well. So we'll have to see. You know, it's another one of those 2CPs where it can snowball really fast. I mean, the old Volskaya felt like you would get games that would end up, you know, 8-9, 11-10. You would have some high-scoring matchups, but it looks like we are trying to get one more team member in there. He's going to restart the Xbox, is Lost King, so we're going to try and get him in here. So, yeah, Volskaya, we'll have to see if the Hunt can find that magic recipe here. They've had a little bit of a delay. You know, it plays into your favor. You get a chance to talk it over with your teammates, see what swaps you want to make, what you want to change, maybe a different plan of attack. They've got to do something to get some extra pressure on those tanks. It feels like the tanks of Reborn have been free to do just about whatever they want, and Lost King has had a knack for those shatters, and they have been huge all night long so far.
Yeah, and I think maybe the idea behind what we saw there with Rampart playing that Zenyatta, at least initially, or on the Hollywood defense, I shouldn't say initially because it was quite short, but you know, I think maybe the idea was they discord one of the tanks, Real Lost King probably in particular. They just make
the old Zenyatta goat philosophy.
Yeah, make it a little bit more difficult for him to play aggressively. Unfortunately, though, just did not stay alive long enough for that really to stick. And it's one of the significant problems, I guess, of just playing Zenyatta in this day and age, right? And I said his hitbox is almost too big for him to stay alive, and it is kind of true. It makes it very difficult. We'll be talking a little bit about some of the patch note changes that are coming out during our intermission break. Or in between game breaks, so we'll have a little bit more opportunity to turn again to talk about that.
Yeah, given we'll have time.
Oh yeah, we'll have time. Given that, you know, that didn't work out, you would expect more Lucio here, given the compositions they're running.
Yeah, I would expect to see a lot of Lucio here. I mean, Volsky, I would be shocked if we saw something other than the Moira Lucio. I guess you could see a little bit of that Ana, but I think the way the tight quarters play through these chokes on Volsky, I think you're better off just going with those massive area heals and just keeping everybody up. Now the DPS, that's where things get interesting, because you can attack this a lot of different ways. You see a lot of Junkrat, you see a lot of Hanzo, you see a little bit of Genji here. We could see anything, I think, from the DPS line. And then as far as the tanks go, I just stick with the Ryan Zarya. I think that's what's going to get you there, and you just, you know, change the DPS to try and counteract the other things.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be honest here. If we're looking at the side of Reborn, the way Predator Z and Eternal Wick have been playing on the Mei Hanzo respectively, I just don't think there's a lot of need for them to change up the kind of DPS that they've been running. I mean, we saw Predator Z there on that initial attack was not the absolute essential factor, but certainly helped. He domed right away. He domed Rampart on the Zenyatta. Pretty sure he took down Saturn's Immortality Field, or Eternal did, and they had Saturn bracketed and taken out of the fight right away as well.
Yeah, he picked off Peter on the McCree as well. Yeah, right away.
He's been telling it. I mean, we got to see the play of the game there from him last time, just, you know, firing the dragons into the old Dragon Ball combo, which admittedly, you know, is not the most impressive play of the game, but it speaks to the consistency which with Predator Z is wielding that Hanzo, that he's constantly building up the ult, and that combined with the space that is being created by Real Lost King really is just making all the difference here.
Yeah, hopefully, and it looks like the side of Lost King may be having some trouble getting things up and going. We hope that's not what's going to cause a delay here, but they are rebooting the Xbox. They just checked in to see how much time they actually have to get this back going again, so hopefully we can get them in and get this thing rolling, because, man, we've been at it a long time to only be 2 maps in here.
Yeah, we have indeed. Hopefully they will be able to get him in. I'm just taking a quick look at their substitutes here they have on the bench and trying to figure out if they really have anybody who can step into that role. So they have one sort of, it looks like a DPS player. They do have a backup tank on the bench by the look of it. I think DF2 Dolphin might be their backup main tank. So they do have somebody who comes in with him, but that being, or could come in for Real Lost King. But that being said, I mean, you were, as you just told us, right, Real Lost King has been a huge factor in this.
Oh, absolutely. And, he's a force.
You know, he really is. And one of the key aspects, I guess, of this LAN online format is that we can have these sort of situations that can significantly affect the course of the game. So hopefully they get Real Lost King back in here, or they could be, I mean, you're facing an entirely different situation, and it really depends on how much you've let your backup main tank get in on those scrims, to be honest.
Yeah, and you don't know if the cohesion is there between Dolphin and Dragonite that is with Lost King, because it seems like their coordination is great, as we see Lost King connecting in right now. So as soon as I get the readies up, we will start in right away to try and get this map going. We will have the Hunt defending first. They will be in the blue this time. We have swapped sides. Reborn will be in the red this time. They will be attacking first, so we'll have to see if they can push all the way through Volskaya.
Yeah, and do keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, if the situation does occur again in which Real Lost King disconnects, he does have to remain disconnected, I believe, until at least the fight is over, though you might want to correct me, Skate, if they have to bring them in on the side swap. I can't quite remember exactly how that works out. Always been one of those rules that I've been a bit fuzzy on, because it so rarely happens, if we're being honest.
Basically, they have to wait until the team fight's over and they can get back in, so it should be okay. But it looks like the hunt is ready, just waiting on the ready up from Reborn. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. Hopefully this fixed it. A lot of times a full reboot of the Xbox will fix a lot of those things. Thankfully, you know, the #1 rule of IT does translate to Xbox. If you turn it off and back on again, it does start to work. So it seems to work. It also fixed your game chat too. If you guys have been having that game chat bug, power it all the way down, unplug the plug from it for like 5 seconds and plug it back in. You want it to do the hard reboot all the way from scratch, and that seems to fix the issue a lot of times. But looks like both teams are ready.
Well, there we go. We got the ready up, so we can hop into Volskaya Industries and continue this. Score 2-0, Reborn 2, Hunt 0. As we go in here, everything on the line here for the Hunt. Skate, we talked about it a bit before we got started. It's been lost a little bit in this situation, but you know, the Hunt. This is having serious playoff implications for them. This was almost as close as you can get to a must-win without it being a actual must-win in terms of making their playoff road a little bit easier. There are other teams that I think will move up past them in the playoff standings if they don't get this one out, and that is looking increasingly unlikely.
Yeah, and this is one of those situations where they have to play all the way through all 4 maps if they can steal one, because it's going to matter in that tiebreaker of the map differential. It's going to come in big because we're going to have a lot of teams in that 2 and 3 loss win area, and I don't know how many is going to get in. It may be that no 3 loss teams get in, or we get a couple in from that division. So that map differential is going to be huge when it comes to playoffs. And right now, the Hunt with 2 losses is going to be, if they can't find a way to reverse sweep here and get that win, they're going to need every single map win, because I think this puts them just outside, and they will have to fight their way back in. Right now, as it stands, they control their own destiny. They keep winning, and they're in.
And you can see there, no serious changes in the lineup for Reborn. Still running that Hanzo and that May, though. Predator taken out early. Well done. 7 Maples on that Pharah, really causing some havoc there. Young Feeder on the Echo as well. So not the strongest maybe upfront brawl composition, but certainly going to cause damage at range here. They're actually immediately switching Predator over to the Soldier, but the rotation is coming around the outside edge of point. Branch doing a good job throwing some fire in. Predator should be back in a position where he can harass both the Echo and 7 Maples right now. Little Lysol playing in the back corner. They've sectioned off Real Lost King here. Real Lost King desperate to escape. They have to invest the bubble, but Saturn's got 2, including that'll end that fight right there. Just this Soldier 76 who's gonna go take a long walk off a... No, he's gonna fight it out there. I guess just try and build up some ult charge. Bit of a strange decision, maybe. Definitely staggered himself a little bit there.
I thought he was going to jump, but I guess he wanted a little bit more of that ult charge. He did get about 15% more, as he's close to 60. He made that quick swap over to the Soldier, got a couple picks, and he's getting close to that visor. But I like the change for the Hunt.
Look at Real Lone King just coming hard in here on Little Lysol. There's really nothing the Orisa can do. The Coalescence comes out half a second too early. They will burn down Flashy, though. That might be enough for them to turn this around. Saturn going off with the Coalescence, and they'll res Lysol back in. It costs Rampart their life, but it should secure them their win. And again, we see this weird late game hold, but it works out. Predator Z stalling there on the outside edge gets Saturn down, and now they don't have any support players here up on the front lines.
You know, I'm sure that happened just the way they drew it up going in there. That was the set play, and everything broke down exactly as it was supposed to. As we see the action come back on the point in what's been a sloppy round 1.
From 7 Maples!
Oh my God!
The Lost King are down! Huge defense coming out of the Hunt here. Again, Predator Z running to the outside edge, trying to stall, will not get it. And Eternal Wick has switched over to the Widowmaker here and has sight up. Totally missed that in the midst of all that action, Skate.
Yeah, Eternal actually started that second push off by getting a few picks, and Predator Z had those sights up, and actually probably a bit of an ill-advised ultimate, as 2 members of Reborn were already down when the visor came out, and he was kind of on an island out there. But we see this Hunt team just digging in and fighting for the playoff.
There's the shatter, but he misses it. What a block by Little Lysol. Amazing play on the Orisa. The Hunt digging deep here and finding the reserves they needed to hold on this first point. Eternal Wink is down. They'll throw in the sound barrier here to keep them moving forward. 7 Maples is taken out of the sky. Now they lost Little Lysol, but Young Feeder coming in with that tank swap gets Real Lost King. Out goes the shatter. It's huge. Amazing. Amazing. He's blown the defense wide here. Well done on the side of the defenders to hold this one open for so long, and time really starting to run down. Everything after this is just a delay skate. They need to jump off the map and reset.
Yeah, we noticed that at about the exact same time, that you got to reset here or you're not going to get another contest. It looks like now that we're in last fight territory for this, and Reborn only has the Nano coming up. They've got a couple ults close. Lost King can probably get another shatter. Lysol with a huge block on the last shatter. I need you to pull that up one more time. We're going to need one more block, Lysol, and you guys will be home free in this thing.
Predator taken out early on by 7 Maples. That's a huge pick there. The beatdown bongo coming out early on. They'll throw in the coalescence as well. 9 seconds left on the clock. There's the nano boost coming in. He doesn't quite have the shatter yet. There's the shatter. Maple's got Wick. There's a big bomb over the top. They've got nothing to block it. Little Lysol goes down early on. Now Predator hunting for Maples in the back line. Gets down. Great shatter takes out Branch. Saturn knocked down as well. And finally, in overtime, they will break it. But what a defense from the Hunt, coming back from such a rough start to this series.
Oh my, and this is a game of inches. You and I have talked about this so much. Branch on the side of the Hunt actually had that gravitic flux, had Skipper and Flashy, both supports in it. They both survived with less than one little tick of that bar, so they had less than 25 health each when they survived that gravitic flux, and that was the difference, as they were able to keep Reborn up. So just, I mean, we're talking 15 maybe points of health there difference from winning and losing that.
Coming in aggressive and strong on the attack here. 2 minutes 40 seconds on the clock. Sticking with 7 Maples on that Pharah, dropping in the damage. Real Lost King getting everything his way on that frontline battle against Little Lysol. Has to back up there and just recharge a little bit, but still taking all the ground he wants. There's the nano boost coming in, exactly what they wanted here. Real Lost King just pushing him back into a corner. Reeling on the ropes. There's the barrage over the top. It doesn't get much, but Dragonite really the one making all the difference here. Skipper gets in on the action as well. They're still holding on. They'll pop the Valkyrie here. Great anti-nade there coming on Branch. Throwing the bomb. Lysol might get the block out. He does. Lysol saving the day at the absolute last moment off the res. Great tack visor coming out from Predator though. But these shields really blocking it out. Diva coming in and the Echo ult. Predator in deep trouble here, trying to run away. This fight not ending. Little Lysol is taken down, but the kill's starting to go in favor of the defenders here. Saturn pops the coalescence. There's the bomb. Gets no one, but certainly zones out the point. And I think for all intents and purposes, Skate, this one is sealed up, at least for now.
Oh man, I hope somebody at home was keeping track of how many ults were popped there. There was a good 6 or 7 popped that entire team fight. But I gotta give hats off to Branch, who did a heck of a job on that Sigma, getting the shields in the right place, able to block most of that soldier ult by Predator, and then getting the huge eats when the damage was needed. Excellent job. When he was antied, he was able to get those eats and just absorb a lot of that damage and get through that anti-nade.
Well, there's the shots coming in. The Sigma shield already going down early on. Real Lost King gets the nano again. We've seen him make amazing space, and he does it once more, just bullying Little Lysol on the outside edge. Young Feeder getting taken out. There goes Little Lysol down early on. That Reinhardt all over the place, causing all sorts of problems. Branch can't do anything but back up. Now Saturn's in the sights. Saturn forced to use the fade, has to back off the point entirely, and now those ticks start to go up. Barrage on the backside gets flashy, but that's all. Rampart still hiding up there, getting pursued by the Lucio. Flies onto point to back up the ball. That's Little Lysol coming back on the wrecking ball, trying to stall this one out. Won't live for very long though. They're ticking down towards the end. Branch comes in. There's a good shatter. Knocks Branch down. Saturn coming on and throwing the heels on. Oh! Predator is here. Predator taken down by Young Feeder, but
Seven Maples goes down almost immediately. Out comes the sound barrier from Skipper. Absolutely desperation stuff there, keeping this push alive. But now they've lost Skipper. It's just the two tanks on the point with one Moira trying to hold on.
OT here.
Tracer there as well. They might indeed force the overtime, and they do. Young Feeder finally gets Lost King down.
Oh, that high noon's big.
Play by Eternal Wick to get the high noon, but Branch knocks him out of the way. That'll keep things alive on the point here as Eternal Wick gets knocked down. Amazing stuff as Seven Maples gets two. Seven Maples trying to hold on. The Coalescence coming in here, burning down the Wrecking Ball, forces him off the point. There's a Nano Lucio holding the point. Nano Lucio goes down, then Skipper getting taken out. They try and touch again. The ball will not die. He will not die. Finally, Dragon Knight goes down, and they hold.
Oh my, this is now in play. The Hunt have a chance to win this map. 94% for Reborn. What a hold. It came down to like those last couple seconds, and you know, I talked a little bit about Branch earlier on that segment. He was able to get in there and get on the point with, you know, with 6% left, able to just barely touch and just ate the shatter and able to stall it out and get the rest of his team back and online. What a great hold. And I want to also note Seven Maples doing a heck of a job on that Pharah, even into double hit scans, able to play those angles and get behind the buildings and just pour in damage, able to apply enough pressure, I think, to Skipper and Flashy on those supports to make them uncomfortable. And then when Real Lost King got separated, that's where the focus was. So Seven Maples doing a great job of recognizing the positioning of Reborn and knowing where to apply that pressure.
Well, the Hunt trying to build their way back up to the mountaintop here, Skate. There's still a long climb ahead of them, but that's not a bad first leg of the journey. 94% is a lot of percent, though. Let's be honest. That's nearly a full take.
It is,
but
it
not
is.
Quite. but not quite.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance. There's a chance, man. There is a chance. And sometimes a chance is all you need.
The momentum is starting to swing for the Hunt here. This thing is not over, folks. Don't go anywhere. This is big. If the Hunt gets the win here, this thing is not over.
The Orisa Sigma combo is that front line that they're going to be running here on the side of the Hunt. They've had a little bit of success with it on defense. Going to be a lot harder on the attack, though. They start to push forward. Lysol just chunking in damage. Great dynamite over the top there from Eternal Wick, kind of lighting him up. Now Young Feeder on that Echo, really just trying to harass. A solid job by Dragon Knight there to kind of push the Echo off, give their Ashe a little bit of breathing room. They're pushing in now around the outside edge. Seven Maples with a big first pick, though. That's Flashy. The Moira getting taken down early on. Real Lost King is up here just swinging on Lysol, but not getting the pick. Great res there by Skipper to get Flashy picking in the action, but it does cost Skipper his life. Eternal Wick now on the Ashe is popping off up there on the high ground. The two DPS combining really to hold the line for the defense there, because that was getting a little hairy.
It was. It looked like everything was going the way the Hunt would want it. You had Eternal Wick kind of isolated off in that back corner where they're set up right now and didn't really have an angle on Seven Maples or Young Feeder, so they were able to just pour in the damage, but the tanks able to hold a little bit there. Lost King went down in the fight, but ultimately that tank line held up enough to get the DPS in a spot to where they could get those much-needed picks.
Seven Maples putting some fire in over the top. Again, a great job being done there. The combination of Eternal Wick and Dragonite really preventing Pharah from getting too much traction. They'll force the res out early. Big Coalescence here coming forward from Flashy, trying to create some space. Bob coming out on the backside for Eternal Wick as well, as Saturn gets brought down. Really, the Hunt struggling to overcome these two DPS players on these attacks as Real Young King finishes off Real Lost King finishes off Young Feeder and forces another reset.
Yeah, and Predator Z actually set up that turret in the very, very back high ground. It's a little bit of a hard spot to get an angle on. Young Feeder will have to probably put those little mines that Echo has on it in order to deal with it, because nobody's really going to get much of an angle on it. It's just great positioning, and then Eternal Wick on the other side is moving positions left to right and not setting up in the same spot each time.
Oh, bomb comes in, Coalescence comes out. Great block by the Sigma, though, to keep it alive. The Coalescence is in. The barrage comes out. They get nothing. Eternal Wick burns it down. They're pushing through ults. Good Gravitic Flux there on the middle to pressure both the healers, and they will get Flashy out of this. Real Lost King is rezzed back in, but Branch has created a ton of space for them here if they can take advantage of it. Branch really trying to pressure out this Torbjorn. Not a lot dying right now as the Molten Core comes in there. Still, Little Lysol has the damage bongos, won't use it here, goes down, and despite investing 5 ultimates into this fight, Skate, Predator Z cleans it all up on Torb.
Yeah, that Torb, that ult was huge. There was just no answer from the Hunt. The tanks were already in. They had nowhere to go. They were out on an island, but we watched this timer tick down. We're now under 50 seconds. It's starting to get last fight time for the Hunt. This is where you got to dig in. This is exactly what Reborn did on the other side, and that's the difference that makes champions, is when you can dig in those big moments. Here's your chance, the Hunt. Get in there, make it happen, make a play.
Turret going down early on. Little Lysol taking that out right away. Does still have the beatdown bongo. Will throw it out. Little Lysol, good position on the corner with the bongo. Real Lost King taking a ton of damage. They throw in the Coalescence. Skipper's down. There's Bob. There's the bomb. Both getting thrown in. Bob takes Rampart out. Bob's in the backline causing all sorts of havoc, and Real Lost King pushes up, and Reborn closing the window on that little glimmer of help that the Hunt had there for about half a second, Skate.
Man, it was so close. There were a few times where it looked like the Hunt had it in their pocket, but Reborn showing what they've done all season long, just coming in big there and just making plays happen when they absolutely need it. You've had a little bit of everybody so far tonight on Reborn making plays. It's not one player that we can point to. Early on, it was the tank line, that combination of Dragonite and Real Lost King. And then here on Volsky, you had a combination of Eternal Wick and Predator Z countering that air assault that the Hunt had. It was a great play by the Hunt to switch to that Pharah Echo and just go to the air, but Reborn had an answer.
Indeed they did. Well, that will seal the match here in favor of Reborn 3-0. Of course, we will be playing another map here. Map score still matters at this stage,
yes.
For the Hunt, they're still, quote, in the Hunt. No, but they're still in the Hunt for playoffs. It does matter what they get in terms of their map score. If they can pull one out at the end and live up to maybe the 3-1 prediction here, that will be big for them.
Yeah, as we move to Watchpoint Gibraltar, we'll have to see how that plays in. Now, the way the Hunt played that last map with that aerial assault, Watchpoint Gibraltar plays into that. If you can play those high grounds and kind of take the fight to the different levels, it can play into your favor. But, well, I wouldn't be shocked if we see Reborn coming out on those hit scans to try and counter that, because it would be expected by me if I was on that side of Reborn.
Yeah, it sure would be. I mean, the Hunt had great success with it on the defense, but on the attack, Skate, they could never really get anything going. And again, we come down to the problem of ultimate usage. We saw the Hunt push in there with 6 ults in the bank. You literally cannot have any more. The game would not let you have any more ults that they had right there. But they got no traction out of it whatsoever. It was just poor execution after poor execution. I mean, you have to kind of feel for them a little bit, but then again, you've got things like dropping in low with 7 Maples and unleashing the barrage kind of right in front of Eternal's Ash, and it's not like we can play around with Eternal Wick's Ash. It's really, really solid. We didn't have Lysol throw in the bongo at the beginning of that attack, which is again something you might expect just to boost the damage of all the ults that are being thrown out there. It's just kind of a matter of poor execution. I mean, you hate to see a team push in with 6 ults and not win that fight.
Yeah, you hate to see it, and it feels like they were very close. This isn't as lopsided as some of the action it feels like we've called lately on Friday Night Overwatch has been. The Hunt has been figuring out as they go, kind of figuring out where they should excel, what they should do. I've got full faith that they can even take a map here. This is important. You got to take a map here if you're the Hunt. You don't want to get 4-0'd here when that map differential matters so much for the playoffs.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, if they are going to take a map too, I think Watchpoint Gibraltar does play, at least to their style of their DPS, a little bit better. All that verticality. I mean, 7 Maples on the Pharah, Young Feeder on the Echo. Both of them had a lot of success there. They need to go back and look at that really strong defense that they put up on Volskaya and try and take away whatever they can from it. You'll see Saturn actually being taken out. Mellow Bannon coming in.
Saturn being put back in late notice.
Saturn's being put back in late notice. Dolphin Dolphin is coming in here for Real Lost King, maybe just due to connection issues. They don't want to run the risk of him deconnecting there. But otherwise, that lineup staying the same, holding over from Volskaya. You know, nothing really changing on the tank line either. Seven Maples actually going out. So some changes coming in there. Kind of a bit surprising, actually, considering that this can be a very decent Pharah map for some of these points. And Seven Maples Pharah was doing pretty well, besides kind of that botched ult towards the end.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see that. Oh, we may have another swap coming in here as these teams are trying to ready up. I don't blame them for you know, second guessing everything and trying to get your best lineup out there when essentially your entire season is on the line, as we are going to have one more swap here, it looks like. We are going to actually put Maples in for Young Feeder. So Young Feeder will be the DPS sitting out, as we see Saturn going over to that DPS role from the support role. You don't see it a lot. Some teams will do that, where they have somebody that is a true flex, where they play those different positions. So we'll have to see just how that plays in for the hunt. And like you said, Reborn making that swap on the main tank. We'll have to see what change this is. If I had to guess, you know, we're not going to see a Reinhardt, and that's probably why we're seeing Lost King come out. So it's probably a different tank combo. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw a little bit of dive.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And I mean, I do feel like this is a good setup for that, all things considered. You know, Watchpoint Gibraltar, probably one of the classic dive maps in a lot of ways. I think it's one of the most popular for that, just because of the pure verticality that those changes in heights force. Whether or not we can see the hunt successfully execute that, kind of another mess, you know, another mess entirely. And whether or not, you know, the hunt have been running this really kind of solid, slow-paced tank line. The Sigma Orisa setup, not fast-moving, very much you pin in a place and you push out from there. It's hard to conceptualize what it might look like if they switched over to a very mobile dive composition, just because we haven't really seen anything like that.
Yeah, it's you know, it's unknown territory. It's uncharted waters. We don't know what to expect with this, and you know, what a good map to have it than Watchpoint Gibraltar, one that just feeds into a completely different style. So we'll have to see, as Reborn will be on defense first, with the hunt attacking first in the red. So we did swap sides yet again.
Yeah, we did swap back and forth, just giving us a little bit of mental exercise here.
You got to keep you on your toes.
Color pattern recognition. Yeah, sure. Why not? Saturn, of course, in on that DPS slot. Will be playing the Sombra here starting off. Eternal Wick coming out on the Ashe. Predator Z coming out on the Tracer. Kind of fits with, I think, what we've been seeing. I mean, Eternal Wick's Ashe was very solid on that last map. I have no doubt that Predator Z can play the Tracer pretty well. What is interesting, though, is DF2 Dolphin and Dragonite here coming out on the Orisa Sigma. Kind of an interesting choice there, considering that that's kind of been completely outside of what they've been playing most of the evening.
Yeah, but you got to remember, we did make that swap onto on the main tank. We do have Dolphin in instead of Lost King, so we'll have to see if that was maybe the play, a switch in the philosophy here for this map style. Maybe, I'm sure they wanted more of a bunker style, as it appears.
Meanwhile, running the controversial Winston Ryan on the other side, it's Mellow Bannon, who goes up for the dive on Dolphin, and unfortunately doesn't quite work out very well. That is unfortunate. And Predator Z will finish off Branch there, but Saturn repays the favor on the May. Still a little bit of a fight going on at the cart, but really that's just a Lucio playing a shooting gallery game with Dragonite on the Sigma, and it gets him with the accretion, no less. Well done. Need like a little point thing to pop up when that happened. Eternal Wick takes out a little Lysol again, so really that Ashe being very telling here. Now Rampart switching over to the Zenyatta skate seems like a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, and you know, it's just wild that I see a little Lysol on that support role and not on that tank role, as we've swapped some stuff around here on the side of the hunt. It's just really hard to follow. It's names in different spots than what I was used to for the first 3 maps. So so far this defense for Reborn has just held the hunt there, as there's no action really from the hunt. They're trying to dive, and I don't think it's gonna really work here against this DPS combo.
Oh no, little Lysol on that Ana just getting destroyed here every time he peeks his head out anywhere near Eternal Wick. Eternal Wick just drops around and brings him down. You saw Dragon Z, Predator Z dropping there in the back line trying to get that pulse bomb in. Didn't quite do it. Now Saturn finishes off Predator Z, so they bought themselves a little bit of breathing room. Mellow Bannon up on the high ground with 7 Maples, but 7 Maples will get brought down. Now Mellow Bannon using the ult there, can't get anyone off. Dies in Primal as a Flux is unleashed on the 2 supports. And honestly, the hunt just getting beat up and down the court right now, Skate. Nothing else you can say about it.
Yeah, you hate to see it. It seems like they called a bit of a Hail Mary with this lineup and these roles for a few different people going a little off role, as it were. And unfortunately, it's just not working out for him. You can't blame them, though. They hadn't really been able to truly crack that defense of Reborn the entire game, or really all 3 maps. They hadn't broke it. But as we see, oh my, just more mayhem on the point here.
The Blizzard comes in, but it's in a bad position.
Yeah.
Eternal Wick just cleaning up kills. Dragonite coming in. Eternal Wick getting one with the Bob as well. The Hunt forced to back up again, and this strategy is just not working, Skate. They have a minute left. They don't really have any ultimates in the bank. If they want to try and switch it up and play something else, they still could.
Yeah,
and they're going to lead hard into the dive. Real hard. Big dynamite hits early on. Branch trying to get it on a target with Mellow Bannon. They can't figure it out. Mellow Bannon struggling to get action on a target. One of the kind of classic problems we see with a lot of dive comps. They're going to nano the monkey. He messes up the jump, though. He gets stuck on the boxes. He can't get up to the high ground where he needs to be to take full advantage of this nano. And by the time he gets up there, he can't do much. It's a great anti-nade over the top, but is it enough to burn him down? No. Mellow Bannon accretion to the face by Dragonite. Destroys him over the top with the dynamite there, doing more damage. Little Lysol does get a pick. They'll throw out the Transcendence here. A couple of hacks coming in, but it feels like too little too late as they try and push forward. Out comes the blade. There goes Little Lysol. An accretion on Rampart, and it is curtains for the Hunt.
Yeah, that's going to be all she wrote for this attack of the Hunt. We'll have to see if they can dig in and find, the greatest defense I've ever seen in my life to try and stop this thing. That would be wild if they found a way to hold this, but it's not looking good right now for the Hunt.
Yeah, very disappointing indeed, Skate. Hunt, I think, just trying, like you said, a Hail Mary, trying some off rolls, trying to change some things around, and it just did not work out. I mean, there's one thing to be said for experimenting when you're down in these situations, but with the positioning that Hunt has in the playoff race, you would think that they would at least be trying to play it out for map score, and it's just not the feeling that you got there on that attack.
Yeah, it just didn't feel like that. And for all we know, this is something they've tried before. On this attack, this could be something they scrimmed, and it just seemed to work because, sometimes you don't have all the right people there, and you kind of switch roles a little bit to try and fill, and that kind of thing happens. But we do see the Hunt moving back to those primary roles that we had him set up with, it looks like, as we see Saturn going back over the healer and Lil Lysol back onto the Reinhardt. Now, we do see a bit of a dive setup on the side of Reborn for this attack.
Yeah, truth be told, I mean, obviously, Skate, they don't have to get very far, but, there's something to be said for these sort of dive compositions, especially in the lower ranks, and it's not to knock the players here, because, I'm down here, you're down here as well, but dive is hard, and I think people sometimes underestimate just how difficult this is to run as a comp, but we'll see how they can do it on the side of Reborn. They are looking for a target for the dive here, but they're not really needing to do it because they're just pushing the car forward. Yeah, Hunt might want to drop down there, and sure enough, Lil Lysol will come in, but he's discorded and getting pressured. Great bubble in there will keep Little Lysol up, and actually they did pretty well there because Predator Z and Flashy kind of got caught out on the back line when the rest of the team pushed forward, and they actually managed to scoop some kills there.
Yeah, it looked like it was all she wrote there when Little Lysol dropped and was kind of stuck on an island, but the call came out for the rotation, and the team was able to get down there and back up Little Lysol underneath that that little bridge that you have to take the payload under, because it looks like all the farther they have to get it is that little uptick when it starts to go up. You have to get the entire payload on the upslope, and then you win right now. We'll have to see where they set up, because this actually plays into Reborn's dive a little bit.
You see that hack coming in on Mellow Banner on the backside. Doesn't actually get that much done with it, though certainly Eternal Wick trying to be a nuisance back there. Honestly, just playing up for that EMP right now. Flashy taken down early, so that's a key piece of this dive composition, taking out. That forces the res out of Skipper early on. More than happy to kind of play around this server room just for defense. They're really just leaving Little Lysol up there on the cart. They are, of course, Skate, putting themselves in a bit of a dangerous position, and you're about to see why. Dragonite diving in on the Diva, going straight for the Ana, loses the Mac. Now they're going to throw out the tactical visor. There goes Skipper getting burned down early. Dragonite probably the next victim here. No, they're going to leave the baby Diva alive and instead focus on Dolphin, who tried to jump back on point and maybe just cheekily push it forward. It did not work out. Flashy gets a kill on Rampart, though. So a bit of back and forth, but really just a strange, disjointed attack, kind of matching a strange and disjointed defense here.
Yeah, and it looks like they're just farming alts, are Reborn, to try and make a big alt push with this EMP. That'll probably be the difference maker. But you gotta make sure you get the value out of it.
Oh, and they grab the blade, and they shatter into the grab as well. The Transcendence way too late. They'll throw in the Diva Bomb. That gets Mellow Bannon taken out, but there's still enough members here to keep this fight going a little bit longer, but the super spread out defense is really costing them right now as Little Lysol gets taken out by the cart, and honestly, I don't think there's anyone who can come in and touch and try and keep this alive at the last second.
Nope, that's going to be it. Reborn going to get the 4-0 over the Hunt. Big playoff implications that we'll get to here in just a moment, but a great job by Reborn, and hats off to the Hunt for giving it everything they had to try and get each map win they could tonight. They were close a couple times. They could have stolen a couple of those.
They sure could have, Skate. Well, there you go. There you have it. Hunt loses 4-0 to Reborn. A great game from the 7-0 team that continues their streak of only having dropped two maps, I should say, in this entire season. We'll be right back with the rest of our panel. We'll see what Billy and Bullskunk think of all this after this break.